welcome to the Sneakers and High Heel podcast with Tania de la Oliva and Daniela Hurtado. Today, in our third episode, we want to welcome Jennifer Welty,
Hello, hello.
Vice President of Heritage Title. Welcome, Jen. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm
How are
excited
you?
to be here.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for being our first guest.
Yeah,
Yay.
I love
Really-
I love the theme song. I was like, oh yeah, that has a cool beat to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we are kind of nervous because it's our first experience of hosting somebody.
With a guest.
So thank
So-
you so much for being here.
We knew who to bring. We were like, we need a
Yes.
person that likes
Yes.
talking, that is very, open to talking about every subject and who is
Exactly.
friendly. So
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
This
you
is my
are.
first time doing a podcast as well, so we can kind of just be nervous together.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. So, Jen, we want to start like telling us who you are, talk a little bit about your family and your life.
Yeah.
In
So, vice president of sales at Heritage. So I've been doing that for close to 9 years.
Okay.
I spent 20 years in credit unions. So I was a branch manager, ran operations, did a whole bunch of stuff with credit union in the credit union world. Kind of fell into title from a friend, and then have just loved being in title. So that's my work life. But then outside of work, I'm a mom of 2 girls, 12 and 9, and then a wife and a friend and daughter, and try to bookkeeper and schedule organizer. So just depending on what
all in
hats
one
I'm wearing.
woman.
Yeah. Mhm.
You're a mom in business.
Mom and business. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then, how long have you been in title?
9 years.
9 years.
Yep. June will be
Okay.
9 years.
How did you start it?
So one of my best friends was a title sales executive for Heritage Title. Her husband's a developer, so she was looking to get out of title because she wanted to go support her husband in their business. It was at my husband's birthday party, and she was like, "Have you ever thought of doing title insurance?" And I was like, "No, I've never thought about doing title insurance. I've only done credit unions for 20 years. Like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I've always done." And she's like, "You should just go talk to them." And so my parents have always told me, even if you don't think you're going to make a change, just hear them out because you don't know what the opportunity is. And so I did. And I was at a stage in my life, and my husband and I were kind of going through some changes in our lives as well. And I was like, why not make a change? Like, I've never done sales. I've never worked on commission. I've always been salary. I love sales though. Like, I could sell anything to anybody.
Right.
So I was like, I think I would do well. And so hopped into title sales. I was a sales executive for 3 years. And in those 3 years, so I had, at the time, my kids were 1 and 3. And my husband, thank God I have such a supportive husband, was like, you go work your tail off for 2 years. Just whatever you need to do, I'll get the kids, I'll cook dinners, you go do happy hours, coffees, whatever you need to do to
You need
get
you
to
need
that
it
level.
network.
That's the
yeah.
best.
yeah. And he was like, I know this is going to be really hard on our family, but we can do anything for 2 years. And I was like, okay. And then 2 years in, I was top salesperson in Denver.
Wow.
And, that's not normal. It takes years, 5 years, 6 years to be top sales. So
Of course.
I couldn't have done it without him.
Awesome. Yeah, you need that extra support to succeed, right?
Exactly.
You need to
Right.
have that person next to you, either your husband or extra help.
Right.
Like we were talking
Yes.
last time, you need to have that help in order to succeed and not, just forget about your family,
Right.
Yeah.
Because, my mom heart, like in my heart, I was like, I'm missing so much and I'm not being able to put my kids to bed. I'm not doing this. But, we had a family goal. And my why has always been my children and providing a life for them and giving them what they want. I grew up not with a lot of money. And so, we didn't go on vacations. We didn't have nice cars. We didn't have everything. My parents worked their butts off to make sure we had the best basketball shoes and the best softball equipment. But I wanted to give my kids more.
Right.
And so for 2 years, we sacrificed
Good.
as a mom. And, like I said, I couldn't have done it without my husband. But
So that was back in what, 2015?
2016.
2016. Okay. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And then here I am.
Yeah. I remember when I met you. Do you remember when we met?
I do.
In Sabor?
Yep.
In the Denver Botanic Gardens?
Yep.
Like we met on that event, and then she just came like, okay, when are we gonna set up our appointment? Blah 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 blah. And I was like, just starting, and I was like, okay,
you?
yeah. But no, after that, it's been great. I mean, we have built that relationship and
Right.
business relationship, and yeah, I would say
Well, I
we're
remember
friends too.
getting the call from Cesar saying, "Hey, I have a girl, You need to meet her. She's going to be a killer. Go get her. Go talk to her. And I was like, all right. And then we met, and I was like, all right, I like her. You're super smart. And I was like, whoa, she's getting into real estate coming from like not doing real estate. And she's
Being
already
an immigrant.
being leaps and bounds ahead of like you just had that drive like right off the bat. And I think in sales we can identify that, right? Like we meet somebody and we're like, okay, they're gonna make it because they're hungry, or I don't know if this person's gonna make it.
Yeah.
So
No.
you had that.
Good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, who is your biggest inspiration, like, in life, and why do you think it's?
So my mom, so I grew up, my mom in the 80s was a boss. Like women in the 80s weren't bosses.
Yeah.
She worked a very corporate job, and she would walk in and she'd always be in her stilettos and always dressed to the nines. She'd walk in and be like, no,
That's why.
we're doing it my way, and she'd tell her boss, like, no, we're doing it my way. I don't care. This is a man's world and I'm going to take over it. And I was always thinking like, man, my mom's a baddie.
Yeah.
Like, she's awesome. And I'd remember wearing her high heels all over. She'd always come to my school really put together. And I was like, that's who I want to be when I grow up. And I think her work ethic just, she never, ever quit. And so I think that's where we got it.
Good. Yeah. Well, I will be inspired.
That's amazing to have that role model in front of you.
Right.
I
right.
think
That's your
yeah.
mom. I mean, I think because your mom is one of
Yes.
the most important persons in
Yes.
your life. So
Right.
Yeah.
She didn't do everything right, but I don't either.
we
And
all,
I-
we all make mistakes.
Yes.
You
Right.
know, we.
And I didn't always understand her mistakes until I became an adult and a mom. Like, I was like, geez Louise, like, she's so judgy. She's so this, and I'm like, she had a lot on her plate. Like, my grandparents were immigrants. They were field workers. So she grew up, she was oldest of 14. She grew up with absolutely nothing, raising kids like her brothers and sisters. All of my aunts and uncles are super successful. One's like the head of Union Pacific Railroad. One's a biochemist. My mom was super successful. My mom put herself through college. I think when you come from nothing and you want more for your family, it becomes a generational, like, now I want more for my kids. And my kids will want more for their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just keep fighting and
That's
fighting.
a good
so-
example to
Right.
follow.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
You mentioned that your grandparents were immigrants.
Yes.
Where from?
Mexico.
Oh, nice! I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. So my grandparents moved here from Mexico to California at first. So I still have family in San Pedro, Compton area. And then they moved to to Colorado. They were in Los Animas, which is like
Okay.
a super small town in Lamar, Los Animas in southern Colorado. And then we migrated up to Pueblo, and that's where I was raised. And
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I had no idea about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So my grandparents spoke like very, very, very little English. I was always around Spanish. Like Walter and Christina were like my grandparents were always like, be quiet, Walter's on. So we would always watch those channels with my grandparents, and I spoke a little bit of Spanish back in the day. And then again, growing up, my mom was bilingual, never spoke to us in Spanish because it was you were looked down upon back in the day.
Yeah.
And so we kind of missed that bilingual piece.
Yeah,
but-
no, that's
Yeah. That's something.
So
You regret, like,
thankfully-
if you don't
yeah.
do it, then
Yes.
you will
Right.
regret it in the
Right.
future.
I
for
always
sure.
knew when conversations were getting heated because my mom would switch from English to Spanish with my grandparents, and I was like, "Uh-oh, something's happening,"
I want to
it was
know.
like-
I want to know.
right. So we'd pick up little words here and there, but for the most part, it was like, "Uh-oh, they're hiding something from us because we don't know
Yeah.
what they're saying."
Yeah.
Oh, I feel you now because my husband's family, they all speak Spanish, and sometimes it's like all of a sudden from English they start speaking Spanish, and I'm sitting there like, okay, what's going on, guys?
Right.
So now I'm starting to learn it. Nobody knows that I'm starting to learn it. So I do understand at least like 30% of conversation, and I love that. Like, okay, so
Are
that's
you
what
talking
you're
about You talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to definitely get into like Duolingo or something like that. My husband speaks even a little bit more Spanish than I do because of his business. Like, he's around a lot of guys who speak Spanish, so he gets to speak it a little bit more. And I'm like, how is he speaking more Spanish than me? And I grew up around it. So
So,
Yeah.
what was your family's last name?
Martinez.
Martinez. So you were Jennifer Martinez.
No, my dad's last name is Doran. My mom was a
okay.
Martinez.
Okay.
So I was Jennifer Doran,
Okay.
which is an Irish name.
But yeah, now when I'm thinking about somewhere in social media, you are Jennifer Doran.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but all my family, it's so funny. The Martinez side is like blondes, blue eyes, green eyes, brown hair. So my sisters all have dark hair, dark eyes, and they definitely look more Hispanic than me. And then everyone's like, "You're Hispanic." I'm like,
Yeah, you wouldn't say.
I'm like, don't let the green eyes fool you, or the hazel eyes fool you. But yes.
Yeah.
How many people do you have under you?
There's 15 sales reps under me right now. I'd like to get to 20. So if you know anybody who wants to be in sales, let me know. I'd like to get to 20. Sales for Heritage is a little complicated. We always try to recruit from other title companies just because that comes over with business. It's kind of hard to train from the ground up.
Yeah.
Because it just depends on that person's personality. So we're always actively trying to reach out and recruit. That's part of our game.
If anybody is looking for job.
Right. And you're driven.
So you have 15 all over Colorado, or is
All
it
over
ju-
Colorado.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep. So we have 3 people up in Springs, 3 people up in Northern Colorado, and then the rest in Denver Metro.
Okay.
Wow. Busy woman. Busy
busy.
woman.
So that's why sometimes you're just traveling
over.
around
Yes.
because you have
Yeah.
to be in all the offices.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And, Heritage is part of the Fidelity National Title Group, so nation's largest title insurer. So a lot of times our corporate meetings are going to be in Las Vegas or California or somewhere. So if I'm having to travel for work, it's usually a corporate thing.
Right. Okay. How do you balance life, work, and family, especially if you're that busy, like going
Yeah.
around, traveling so much, or being
Also being a soccer mom.
yeah,
Yeah,
all of
That's
it.
really hard.
So when I first got into title insurance, we had a corporate trainer or a corporate sales guy named Stevie D. And Stevie D came to one of our meetings. I think it was like 6 months into being in title sales. And he said, the biggest facade that we're sold in life is work-life balance. He's like, there is no such thing as an equal balance. And he goes, this is what we tell people in order to get them to join our companies. But if you want to be honest with them, there is no such thing. Sometimes work has to win, but then you need to make it a point to make family win. Sometimes family has to win, and then you have to make it a point for work to win. You're never, ever going to find that work-life balance. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but, something I pride myself in. I work really hard. I'm very efficient at what I do. I don't miss my children's sports. I don't miss my children's performances at school. I schedule around them as much as I can. But the thing of it is it's just they're never going to be an equal. We're looking for this perfect balance, and it's never going to be a perfect balance. Especially
But that's
being a
something
mom.
that you're always looking. You're always looking for that balance, but it's just hard to reach.
Well, I think the minute that we come to terms with this balance doesn't exist, we've got to prioritize what's important. I'm a huge schedule person, so I very, very respect my time blocking. So when my kids have stuff, I time block it into my schedule, and then there's no deviating from that. Work, same. Sometimes things happen. Like I flew from Arizona to a soccer tournament, got home at 9:00 at night, and was on a 4:00 flight to Orlando for work. I mean, is it ideal? No. But do I have to make it happen? Yes.
You want to be there for work.
Yeah, I
and-
didn't want to miss a soccer tournament in Arizona with my
yeah,
daughter,
no,
so it's
sure.
like, this was like her first travel one. So it was like, my husband was like, well, I can take her if you need to travel. And I was like, no, I can be a day, I could be a day behind everybody else. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
What I do is not heart surgery.
Mm-hmm.
It's not brain surgery. Nobody's going to die if I don't get there on Sunday.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Mhm.
I really love
so
that
you're
because
you're a soccer mom.
Soccer mom.
Soccer
Yep.
mom.
I'm in my soccer mom era.
Yeah.
I have a t-shirt that says that. My kids practice 4 to 5 times a week, depending.
Wow.
Both girls, 12 and 9, they both practice.
plus games.
Plus games on weekends, multiple games on weekends, tournaments. So I think this weekend we're in Boulder one day, and the next day we're here in Lakewood or Littleton, and it's crazy.
They're doing. Are they in the state championship right now?
No,
No.
we
Okay.
didn't do that. We're not doing the state
Okay.
cup or whatever
Okay.
it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
But
Cool. And
it's
then
it's busy.
It's fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
We talked. I'm a goalie mom, and I think I posted a meme the other day, and you saw it. It was like, there's nobody with more anxiety on the field than the goalie's mom.
Yeah.
Because I can't even sit still. I'm pacing, I'm jumping up and down. I'm usually covering my eyes. I'm doing something because it's just
A lot of
there's so
pressure.
much stress. And I'm like, I don't even think my daughter feels that much stress, but I do as a mom. And so I'm like, come on, baby, come on, baby. I just repeat, come on, baby, come on, get it, and screaming. And I'm that mom.
Yeah. Okay. So your daughter has to ask you to be quiet.
Shut up.
Calm down.
Shut up, mom.
Yeah, I get the 12-year-old look. She's definitely preteen, so I get the
Yeah, I think
preteen
that's
look of like, stop, you know. So she gets it from her mama for sure. The look, and then my 9-year-old, you know, she's in competitive, but it's not nearly as competitive as like the 12-year-olds right now. So I get to kind of chill on those. Those aren't as nearly crazy as the 12-year-olds,
Yeah.
but she'll get there.
Yeah. Do you wanted to ask?
Yeah, because you just said that your younger one is 9-year-old and you're in Heritage for 9 years.
Yeah.
So you gave birth and then you decided to change the.
Yeah, she was, I think, a year when I started. So I'm at 8.5 years with Heritage. So
Okay.
she was like 6 months, almost a year when I started at Heritage.
Okay, how did you handle that? I heard that your husband helped a lot,
Right.
but I mean, there is still stuff that husband cannot do with a baby.
Yeah, you know, as a mom, my goal was always to try to like nurse for a year. So I did that for a whole year with her. That's kind of when I made my transition to Heritage, was right after I was done.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, without my husband, I couldn't have done it. And my kids were very latchkey kids. My kids are daycare raised, is what I
Okay.
say. It's funny because I'm still really good friends with a lot of their daycare teachers, even after 12 years, 9 years. You know, we follow each other on social. We'll see each other out and about. They buy Girl Scout cookies when my daughters are selling Girl Scout cookies. So they really were the ones that helped me raise my kids. I took 3 months off with both girls, maternity leave, and really checked out and spent that first 3 months with them. And then I just knew that I was never like meant to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I give props. My best friend's a stay-at-home mom. My sister's a stay-at-home mom. It is a very, very hard job to do. I feel like I thrive outside of the home. And it makes me value my time with my kids a lot more. And I'm a better mom because I get that break from them. Yeah.
So how was
I feel
COVID?
that.
How was COVID?
COVID was real hard.
Yeah.
I had some very, very strong opinions on how we transitioned from going to school to homework. I will tell you the first 3 weeks, one of us always ended up in tears. At the time, my youngest was too young to be in school. She was still in a pre-K because she was
I think,
only 5-ish.
Is she 9?
She's 9.
Okay, so she's a year younger than my son. Okay, yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, so she was easy though. I mean, unfortunately, she had a lot of tablet time because I was working and then trying to work with my oldest on getting her schoolwork done. But a lot of times I would still be working at midnight trying to catch up from being a teacher as well.
Yeah.
I did that for like a couple weeks and then I was like, well, we're essential, so I'm going to go back to the office. And kind of left it on my husband. So shortly during COVID, he owns a business, which we're very thankful for. He's 4th generation business owner. So he was like, what do you think about me taking some time off work and just focusing on the kids and helping them through school? Because we didn't know what the next school year would bring.
Okay, is he even real? I mean,
I know, right?
Are you imagining him?
No, I mean, he has his faults too. Don't get me wrong. You know, he's very OCD, which if you've ever lived with somebody who's OCD, it's real complicated. But no, he's a saint. Everybody at work calls him Saint Paul. You've met Paul. He's real quiet, real chill. He's my yin to my yang. I'm very extrovert. He's kind of an introvert extrovert. He keeps me from being completely insane, and I keep him from being dead boring.
Okay.
So it just works. I mean,
It's a good combination.
yeah, we just actually celebrated our 26th year yesterday together.
Wow.
So
Like married?
No, 26 years
Together.
together, 16 years married.
Wow.
Wow, that's a
It's
lifetime.
a long time. Yeah, more than half
that's
our
nice.
lives.
Yes.
So like a lot more than half our lives. So we grew up together, and I think that's kind of, you know, as an adult now, would I go for somebody so opposite? Like probably not, but like it worked when we were there, and we've made it work for 26 years.
Wow.
So yeah, he is my rock. He is my person that I can depend on.
Awesome.
Oh, I love that.
It's nice finding that person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So during COVID, he took some time off and really focused on the kids and got them to and from. And I was like, peace, I'm out. Because this stay-at-home stuff was not for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, do you feel overwhelmed sometimes, like with just kids, life, work? Do you feel overwhelmed?
yeah.
And how do you keep that mental health?
Overwhelmed daily. Yeah, totally. I don't sleep a whole lot. So I fall asleep like a baby. My head hits any soft surface and I'm out. But I get that 1 to 3 o'clock wake up hour where I usually am like thinking about the day or what I have going on or what happened the day prior to or how I should have responded differently. Or I very much am I look inside myself a lot of like, did I handle that situation right? Whether it's work or home. So yes, always stressed. I think is some advice for you guys, because you guys are a lot younger than me, is take care of your stress and try to manage it, because when you get into your 40s, your hormones just like get all wacky with stress, and it just changes. Your body changes so much with that stress because you just take everything on. It's hard. It's very overwhelming. Life is overwhelming though. But when I think about everything that I've accomplished and everything my family has and our goals that we have planned, it's just like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason. But yeah,
So when you feel overwhelmed, like what do you do? Do you have any tips? Because sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I started box breathing to just kind of help meditate and cool. Like, I feel like my mind races. I'm a very busy person as far as like even on a snow day or a work or weekend or something, I don't sit. My husband told me I'm the worst person to get snowed into a house with, because he's like, you just can't sit. Like, you can't sit and watch a movie. When I'm sick, nobody knows I'm sick, because I'm still cooking dinner. I'm still doing this. I'm still running around. And he's like, you don't have that off button. And I was like, I don't think I was born with one.
I was going to ask you, have you been like that your whole life?
Yeah.
Since you were a kid, you wouldn't stay still. You were always...
So I wasn't like that, like some kids where you're just like, oh gosh, that kid can't sit still. My parents were very strict and very structured. So I think we had a good chill, but like as an adult, I feel like there's so much that I have to do and get done that there's never enough time in the day, but we all have 24 hours. That's just how we use it.
Yeah.
I wish I could carve out a little bit more time for me as far as like working out. If I want to work out, I'm at the gym at 5 a.m. Or I'm walking during soccer practice, which now that it's nicer, it's a kind of a blessing. My kids practice from 5:30 to 6:30. My husband has to take them. I meet him at the field. He takes my other one to their soccer practice. And so I stay and walk the field for an hour and 15 minutes and kind of get my workout in there. But I just got back from a girls' trip. So spent like 3 days away from my family and just kind of reconnected with my best friend. And so I think just doing stuff like that is important to just get that mental sanity back as much as we can.
No, because it can be a little too much.
Oh, for sure.
What's your ways of resting and relaxing? Like, do you like vacations? Do you like, I don't know.
Yeah, like you guys, anytime you go on vacation, you're still working.
Yes.
So it seems like when you go on vacation is when things happen
You
more.
work the most.
Yeah. So, vacations are always great, just not having to go into the office. And my team is very respectful when I say I'm on vacation. They try to find another resource that they can call if they need something. But yeah, vacation. And like I said, once I fall asleep, I fall asleep. And then I wake up, I call it my witching hour. I wake up, I usually check my emails, get my emails sent that I didn't get maybe sent from the day before. Auto delay on Outlook is like the best thing ever, because I don't want to look psycho to my team and sending emails at 3 a.m. So I auto delay them to send at like 7:30. But yeah, again, we're all given 24 hours. It just depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
Can I jump back to your team? Like, how does it feel to have a responsibility over 15 other lives that are not your family? Because, of course, for your family, you're going to fight and do whatever it takes. But those are just people under you. How does it feel, that responsibility?
It's a lot, especially when numbers, we're a very market-driven industry like you guys. So when you guys aren't busy, we're not busy. And so, a lot of times we're talking about doing layoffs or reductions. And, it's something that as an admin or a boss, you don't, I don't sleep for 2 days if I know I'm going to have to lay somebody off. It's a life-changing event, and not in a good way. Sometimes I let go of one person, for example, and she took it really hard. But in my heart of hearts, I knew she was going to want to move to a different state. Her family was in a different state. And it kind of was the catalyst of her moving maybe a little sooner. So I was like a little peace of mind, but you're ruining their lives. And that's something that it's really hard to take in. And again, we're market driven, right? So it's like when numbers go up, we hire. When numbers go down, we have to let go.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. Luckily, sales, when times are slow, sales is usually the ones who are trying to get that new business through the door. So it's a little bit more stable, but it's not
Still.
something that we take lightly. Our sales team, when we do have to let go of an escrow officer due to the market, they feel bad because they're like, we could have put more business on them. Could we have done this better? Could we have done that better? And so we all take it to heart.
Yeah. So what skill do you think it's important to have in sales, or let's say in your field?
Communication, all day communication, being able to talk via email, phone, text. I pride myself in, I try to answer my phone every single time it rings.
No, and I would say yes, because every time I call, if you don't answer, you will call me back like right away, or
Right.
you will text me like, hey, I can't talk, can you text me? I know that if I need you, I can count on you, and I really like that about working with you.
Yeah.
So I do think, as a realtor, and I'm sure you're on the same boat, we do need to stay
Yes.
communicated, not just, with everybody
Yes.
involved in that transaction. It's key. So
Right. I think communication is definitely a superpower that if you have it, you can be super successful. If you don't have it, you need to get it.
yeah.
Which sometimes when you have kids,
Right. Right.
it's just that I am still in that position when I have a baby who is only 8 months old, and he is breastfed, right? And like even right now I'm here, but I still have that little thing. I hope he's not screaming at home and driving my husband crazy, because my husband
Right.
is kind of like your husband, almost saint.
Right.
Of course, he has his ups
Right.
and downs, but he's very supportive and very helpful. But I still don't want him to feel overwhelmed with 2 kids but like with the youngest one, he cannot control that. Like
Right.
there is nothing he can do over that. He doesn't have a titi. I mean, he
Right.
cannot milk my baby.
Right. But I mean,
so-
I would say lean on your mom friends too. Like when we've talked about getting together, I'm like, bring your baby. Like
Yeah.
I'll hold your baby for you. Like I love babies. That gives me my little fix, right? But lean on, get your tribe, find your tribe that can let you and your husband go out and grab dinner, or, sometimes we're going to have work meetings. Like I know I'm not offended if you said, hey, I'm going to have to bring my baby. I'd be like, perfect. Can I hold him? Like,
yeah, no, you know that I bring my babies to
Yeah.
all my meetings.
Right.
Like with my clients, with showings. It's a like horror crazy house, and my 2 kids with me, and we're walking around. Oh my God, I hope nobody's
Don't
going to
touch
jump
anything.
out.
Don't touch
Yeah. The nice thing is you're in an industry where you can do that.
Yes,
And how
that's-
fortunate are you that you can take your
Exactly.
kids places? Daniela, you too. Like if you schedule around things, you can take your kids places, or you can go to your kids places. Like this industry has really afforded us more of flexibility. I came from an 8 to 5 industry where
Yeah.
we were 8 to 5. I could not take my kids. When I switched to Heritage, backtrack to work-life balance, my youngest was sick, and I had meetings, and at that time we didn't have laptops. We had to go into the office to do like meetings.
Yeah.
And so I remember taking her to work and holding her and rocking her while I was doing a meeting, and it was just like, this is my idea of work-life balance right now. I have to be a mom, but I also have to be an employee, and Heritage was super cool with that. As far as like, to this day, like when the girls had a snow day, my youngest came to work with me and just kind of hung out under my desk watching her tablet, and I was like, how many other jobs allow
not
you
too
to do
many.
that?
I
Like,
think that's one of the reasons, at least why I joined
Exactly.
this business,
Yeah.
because of that flexibility. That sometimes it's not that flexible.
right, right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you are like really busy, but
I
you
have
can still have that.
I
little
have to
time
laugh when people
dedicate.
say, when I say, why'd you get into real estate? That's one of my leading questions when I meet somebody. Why did you get into real estate? Oh, the flexibility. And I'm like,
Yeah, but you at
There is
least
no
you can
flexibility.
manage
Right,
your schedule.
right.
You can
I'm
work
like,
around it.
There is a
So-
way for you to say no.
right.
Yeah.
Like,
But
if
we're
you
bad
feel
at
like,
that.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is still, if you know that, for example, like a couple years ago, there was a first birthday of my kid, and my client wanted to see a house exactly that day. And I was like, you know what? Today I'm going to say no.
Right.
I'm sorry, but it's my my kid first birthday. There is no way I'm gonna miss that. I'm not gonna be showing you houses. I'm really sorry. Like, if you want, we can go tomorrow. We can go any other day at any other time. But it's my boy's birthday.
Yeah.
And I love that fact that in real estate, we still have that opportunity to say no. We can choose.
They control.
Yes.
Yeah, that control.
But you have to be able to do that. And
That's
I
true.
was not raised with like healthy boundaries. I was not raised saying no. That's something that we work on as parents now, is telling our kids, like, you need to have boundaries. Like, I've never forced my kids to go give somebody a hug or go give
that's a
somebody a
big thing
kiss
for me.
goodbye. And it's just like, no, if you don't feel comfortable with that person, don't go talk to them. Like, you're fine with that. If you don't like that person, you don't have to interact with them. Like, you need boundaries, and we need to teach our kids boundaries, because we weren't taught that. We weren't taught the word no is okay. And now it's like, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I had an agent reach out and say, you know, I can only meet on Saturdays. And I'm like, I'm sorry, then I'm not your title person, because like, I'll team you up with another one of my reps that has that flexibility. On Saturdays, I'm a mom. My kids play competitive soccer. That basically rules our weekends. And I want to spend time with my family.
So you don't work on the weekends at all?
I do on my phone.
Like on your
I just don't
phone
do
or-
like
okay.
physical meetings
Right,
unless
okay.
I absolutely have to. But a lot of times I don't do physical meetings on the
Lucky
weekends.
you.
But yeah, but I'm always on my phone. I mean, that's,
Yeah, you're always on call.
Yes.
but,
right. Because I always say
you
when
don't
you're
have to be there.
when you're working, I'm working. I think I've popped into like one of
true.
your open houses before on a weekend. You know, if I have time and I can pop into an open house, I'll go
be
pop
there.
into an open house. You know, but now that my kids are in such a high level soccer and that
Yeah.
kind
and
of
they're
dominates.
older too, and you know, it's different kind of life now.
Oh yeah, they like when they get home, they're like, "Peace, we're gonna go get on our tablet for a little bit." And I'm like, "Okay, well then I'm gonna go to an open house, or you know." But then that requires me to get ready. Versus, it's like on I tell people all the time, if you see me on the weekends, I look homeless because my hair's in a pony or a hat, and then I'm in like.
So you're
just a
not wearing
t-shirt.
this to the soccer
I'm-
games, right?
I try not to wear my stilettos.
Elegant style.
No.
Casual.
yeah. No. I'm very, very casual on weekends.
But yes,
so
the heels.
Thank you. Yes, to heels on during the week. Yeah.
So you're the mom that walks on the grass with the heels.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God, you would blend in Russia so
Yeah.
good.
So the funny thing, I coached my daughter in t-ball when she was in t-ball, and I was working at Heritage, so I would have to leave work to get to the t-ball fields by like 5. So I would be running in my high heels to the field. My husband would toss me my tennis shoes, and I would be like hopping on one foot, changing into my tennis shoes. And all the parents, half the time I'd have to stay in my dress. So I'd have like a dress and tennis shoes on, just helping. And they were like, "Do you not have time to change?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. This is a volunteer position. Like, I'm not getting paid to do this, but
Don't judge,
you know,
don't judge my uniform.
Yes.
right. I was like, are we winning and are our kids learning something? Because that's what's important. But yeah, there was many a times where sometimes I didn't even change my shoes. I just walked onto the field barefoot, and I was like, it is what it is today.
Yeah.
This is how we're practicing.
Right. Yeah.
So
I wanted to ask you too. It's like, how do you see yourself in like 5-10 years? Because like you've been growing
right.
so much. Then what do you think it's
What's
next
your
for
next-
you?
yeah.
Huh. That's a good question. You know, I love Heritage, so I can't imagine myself anywhere besides for Heritage. We have a new president. His name's Chris Gaddis. He's the first male president that we've had in our existence in 45 years.
Oh, wow.
That was, one of the things I loved about Heritage was it was primarily women ran.
Okay.
Chris is our first male president, which is good. I think we needed that balance right now in our company. So he just took over. So I don't anticipate me being a president anytime soon. And honestly, I don't know if I want to do that. I love what I do. I love my team.
So that would be the next step.
It would be.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
okay.
So like an
My
EVP or president.
goodness.
Yeah. So that's the next step. I don't know if you really have to commit.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm
Yes, there's
I'm
way too
fairly
many
committed already, but like
responsibilities.
it's the responsibilities are a lot more. Especially when you work for a Fortune 300 company, you know, you answer to shareholders. And so that's a lot of stress, and one that I don't know if I want to take on as a mom. You know, I'm happy with
You're
what
happy
I'm
with it.
doing. Could I learn more? Yes. Can I grow my team? Yes. Can we take our business next level? Yes. I think that's the best thing about Heritage and our company and our industry just in general is you don't have to move up the chain to be successful. You can stay in the position you are and still be successful. I have sales executives who've been with us for 40 years. They didn't want to be a manager. they honestly,
happy where they are.
you don't get into management to make more money. I will tell you that. Like my sales executives, they do really, really well. And they don't have the responsibility as like a manager does. So I'd be okay staying in the position I am for 5 to 10 years and just focusing on really growth mindset versus maintenance mindset.
Good.
How big do you want your team to be in 5 years?
Oh, 20, 25 people.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to grow Denver to 15 to 20 people, and then add some outside, up northern Colorado, maybe 1 or 2 people to grow.
Nice.
Good. Is there any advice that you can give to maybe people that are thinking about, I want to join Tidal, I like it, I'm interested? Is there any advice
Yeah.
to start?
I say start as an escrow assistant.
Okay.
I think that's probably the best thing to do, or customer service. So then that way you can learn the business. Jumping into sales is really difficult. I think people just think, I can just jump in and be an escrow officer.
Yeah.
Like, my sister's interested in being an escrow officer. And I'm like, it's really hard. I mean, Daniela,
I know.
I feel like-
Renzo,
Yes.
Renzo, and he was like, this is just too much.
it's too much. Yeah. So Tidal, I think it's funny because people always think, your job has to be so easy. All you do is talk to people. All you do is go and eat. All you do is go to happy hour events. All you do is this. And I'm like, you're not seeing, must be nice to be on the golf course all day. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm spending 5 hours with clients. My work isn't getting done while I'm on the golf course.
Exactly.
So then I'm spending 5 hours at night after my kids go to bed to catch up. And I was like, it's not as easy as we make it look, but that means I'm doing my job right? Because I'm making it look easy, but you don't see everything.
But
same
I think
on.
as,
that's-
same
yes.
as realtors.
Right,
Yeah,
yes,
we get
right.
all this crap
Bashing
of people
on us,
saying
yes.
like this is an easy job, like everybody can do it, and not everybody.
And I think
No.
that was the idea of this
Yeah.
podcast. Like, we want to show that, hey, everything is not as easy as it looks for any business owner. If
No.
you're in real estate, if you're in title, anywhere, like, it's not as easy as it looks.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
this
the
is-
thing is that social media right now, it only shows you
Yes.
this
The good things.
facade. Like you can only see this, but you don't really see the
yeah,
Right.
what's behind it. So
Right. Nobody sees the tears. Nobody
Yeah.
sees
exactly.
me eating my lunch in my car. There's many times where I eat all my meals in my car,
Yeah.
or
you don't eat,
or you don't eat.
or you don't eat because that happens. Sometimes
right.
you just don't.
It's
eat.
feast or famine, right? Like you have 3 meals a day or you have 0 meals a day. And so, or the coffees that I'm slamming to stay awake or spilling on me to stay awake. The other day I was like, did I drink any water today? And I was like,
Only coffee.
only coffee. I had 2 coffees and 0 water today. That's awesome. So, it's just, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I don't think people really realize.
Yeah.
And I don't think people want to realize.
No.
People like to just judge
Right,
around. Oh,
right.
my job is so difficult. Your job is so easy.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you secretly judge people related in your field?
I try not to judge because I'm a hot mess a lot of the times too.
No, I mean,
But I will tell you one of my pet peeves, maybe, not just even in my industry, but in life in general. Like I get after my kids for it is the blame game. I absolutely hate people who blame others for their lack of success or something that happened. I told my daughter the other day she was blaming my youngest for something, and I was like, blaming other people is what crappy people do. Like, don't be that crappy person. Like, take accountability. You saw that she was doing this, but you were so involved in your earbuds and music and stuff like that you could have acknowledged. I don't like when people don't take accountability. I think that's
responsibility of their own actions.
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
It's
like that.
and as an adult, I see it now, and even in our industry or just like real estate in general, it's like, well, Tidal should have done that, and we're like, no, that's a lender job, or that's a real estate agent job, or we did send that out, like you didn't check your email. So it's like the blame game really bothers me, just in life in general, whether it's industry, professional.
And I think in this industry,
Oh,
there's like
yes.
so many
Every-
options of people to blame. Like,
Lots of finger pointing. I think Renzo
Yeah.
Renzo understood that after he came and worked in Tidal. He was like, I'm getting blamed for this, and it's not even my fault. And I'm like, yeah, that's like you just have to be like, okay, yep, sorry about that. Here you go.
Yeah.
And then it's one of those things where it's like the accountability part, just in life in general. I feel like that's something that I learned. My parents were really big on just owning up to your mistakes. I played sports. As a sports person, I think that's was really important. And when you messed up on the field, you apologized to your team, you moved on, and you just accepted it. Like,
That's good. That's having a strong mind.
Yes.
Because
Right.
me, like, I can blame a little bit on my husband sometimes.
yeah.
You didn't do this. Yeah, you.
Right. My husband did blame me for asparagus went bad in the fridge the other day, and he was like, I was really craving this asparagus that you threw away. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing the best I can. Like, we've had soccer 4 nights this week, and like, I threw together easier dinners than steak and asparagus. Sorry, and so it's just like, it's the finger pointing really bothers me just in life in general, not just professional.
But I think sometimes it helps a person to stay sane because you have so much on your plate. So sometimes you're like, okay, you know what? That wasn't my fault. It's going to be your fault today.
Right.
Sorry, but in profession, I can completely relate because I feel like in real estate, there is so much finger pointing.
Oh, for sure.
Like sometimes the agents blames you for something. You're like, what? Excuse me. Do you want me to pull out all our conversations and show you whose fault it was?
Right.
But to make a deal go smooth, you're like, okay, I'm going to just suck it up. And
Right. Yep. You sometimes just have to suck it up. But at the same time, it's like,
yes.
just my one of my very first bosses told me, just take your licks and keep moving. And I was like, I like that, like, I did wrong. I'm in trouble. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I think that makes me a more responsible adult now. And I'm not a perfect boss. I'm not a perfect mom. I'm not a perfect wife, but I know where my weaknesses are. My husband and I have a rule that we never just say, I'm sorry. We always ask for forgiveness, because if we feel like when you just say, I'm sorry, it's implying that the forgiveness is automatically received. But I mess up. And so it's a tough pill to swallow because I think I'm right 95% of the time. But when I do mess up, I'm always like, I mess up. Will you forgive me? Or please forgive me. But we don't usually say I'm sorry in our household.
I love that because in Russian language, that's also a thing. And we would always ask for forgiveness. It's not like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, bye. No, in Russian language, it's the same. And I loved it because you take responsibility for your actions. And I think in general, language taught me that, like, okay, that was since I was born, I have to ask for forgiveness when I messed up.
Right.
And I like that. But here, it's more like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, bye.
Okay, you have to forgive me. I said I'm sorry.
Yes,
My
yes.
kids will say that, well, I apologize. And I was like, that doesn't mean they forgive you. That doesn't mean they accept that apology. You're putting the ball in their court to decide whether they want to forgive you or not, because it just depends. Like, they can say no. And honestly, you have to be okay if they say no and they don't forgive you.
I love it.
So we're big on just owning up to your
like it.
errors.
I really like it. Like, I need to implement that to my life because here in English language, and again, that's of course it's also my problem that language stuff that some words I don't even know yet, but I have to implement that because I start getting used to this. Oh, I'm sorry. No, like, forgive me, please.
Yeah. That's
When you ask for forgiveness, do you wait for an answer?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
And sometimes, like when my husband and I have gotten into an argument and I've had to say, like, Paul, please forgive me. I messed up and I did this, or I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but will you please forgive me? He, there's been a moment where he's been like, you know what? I need to put some thought into this. And I'm like, I'm your wife. Like, you have to forgive me, right? Like, hold on. Hold on. It wasn't like I did something like horrible. Calm down. Like, I forgot to do this, so, but yeah, I think we just kind of assume that people forgive us when we say we're sorry. And so, I don't know, we're just big on accountability with our kids, and making sure, I'm on my 12-year-old right now. She's on the blame game of, like, even in soccer, it's like if a goal gets through, she's like, well, the defender should have done this. And I'm like, yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. They didn't do it, but you can't just sit there and, like, berate your team. Like, you just move on, keep it moving, take your licks. They scored on you, keep moving. Like, life's too short to sit there and stew over it and point fingers at everybody.
Yeah.
Like, just accept it and move.
Yeah.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big is your inner circle? The closest people to you.
Yeah, so I used to have a ton of friends, and it used to be quantity over quality. And now as an adult, I feel like it's definitely quality over quantity. I have like two really, really good girlfriends here. My best friend lives in Texas. I have a sister that I talk to. And so honestly, like, I've been really bad. Like, most of my friends are now realtors, lenders, stuff like that.
Right.
Like
The people that you work
that
with,
I work
you
with,
see all
because
the
I
time,
see all the
you
time.
talk all the time with
It's
them.
convenient, right? Because it's like, oh, you're my friend, but you're also my business partner. So I would say a handful of people that I trust in my inner circle, and just really, really good people versus the amount of people.
I agree. And I think that's something
Yes.
that happens when you
grow
start
up.
getting older and when you
Yeah.
have kids. Because when you have kids, you really like those friends that were your friends, sometimes they don't stick with you
Right.
Yeah.
when you have kids. So I think after that and
And I
after
think we,
30s.
as a woman, and I know, as you grow, your needs for friends change too. You know, so
Yes.
like I had some really, really good mom friends that we were friends with. We all went to the same preschool. They went and decided to go and do different things. Like they wanted to be stay-at-home moms. They wanted to go get plastic surgery and stuff like that. And I was like, that's not my interest anymore. My interest is being able to relate with other working moms and people who don't have time to work out or have the ability to go get plastic surgery. And so, you know, even though those were good friendships, it became unhealthy for me because I was constantly comparing, oh, well, must be nice to be able to go have cocktails at 2 p.m.
That's true.
And so it just became unhealthy. And I started to kind of build up a resentment. And I was like, you know what? They're not my tribe anymore. And that's okay. I've outgrown them or they've outgrown me. And sometimes you go through that breakup.
I mean, you're
You're
growing.
always
Yes.
evolving.
You're always evolving. Yeah.
So it's like your friendships have to kind of evolve too. And something that I have a conversation with my daughter, Paige, she's 12, is, you know, you are who the company you keep, or it's a direct reflection of you. And, you know, she's on a roll and her friends are not on a roll. And I'm like, do you think you're going to outgrow them? And she's like, well, they're either going to level up to my level or I'm going to go find people that will be on my thing. And I was like, okay, you get it. You get it, right?
Yeah.
That's
She's very wise for her age. Like,
yeah. Well, I think it's the conversations we have too, right? Because it's like, Paige, don't go down to your friends'
Yeah.
levels. Make them come up to your level.
That was my
And-
dad always told me the same.
Yeah. So I'm like, they could be great friends. You can be acquaintances in school still, but you know, if you guys don't have things that align and values that align, it's not going to work.
Yeah. I can see your girls being buzz ladies.
Oh, for sure.
in
My 12-year-old
20 years.
My 12-year-old is me in a 12-year-old body. So I told her, I was like, one day you're going to rule this world. You just need to know who you can talk crazy to. And I'm not that person. So, you know, I have to definitely keep her in check because she likes to think she runs our household sometimes. And I'm like, you're
No,
doing
you-
it.
and I
know your
think-
place.
Right.
I mean, the next 5 years are going to be challenging because,
Oh, yes.
you know, she's a preteen.
Yeah,
She's not
preteen-
really a teenager.
Preteen is
Yeah,
hard. Yeah. I'm hoping she's getting it all out now. She's a really, really good kid. I mean, that's the one thing that I will brag about forever is like anytime they're away from us, everybody's like, your kids are so respectful. They just are so nice. They're sweet. They listen. They're great. And then when they're home, they're like, I'm like, who? This person? Like the teacher's like, Paige is the best student. She's this. She's always friendly to everybody. And I'm like, at home, she's crazy. Like, are we talking about the same page? And I'm like, you know what? That's what we raised them, right? We raised them to be out in society, to be good people. And then at home, sometimes they're just going to have attitude. And it's hard as a mom because I only get so much time with them that I'm like, I don't want to deal with you fighting with me. Like,
Yeah.
just want you to be that sweet kid that you are at school.
Yeah.
But
you were also a kid. You were also
Right.
that age, and you also probably had that attitude, and
Well,
or not. All
I
your
also
parents were very strict.
I feel like it's how times have changed on how
Well,
we were
that's
raised,
true.
right?
That's
like we
true.
were
Times
always
have changed.
Yeah, like I could never roll my eyes at my parents. Like
Oh,
my
yeah.
parents
Oh,
would have. Yeah, big time. So now you know that's one of my biggest pet peeves with her. Is she's gotten into the eye roll, and I'm like, I can fix those for you if you need me to.
But I think it's because she feels safe with
She
you.
does,
And
yeah.
that's the thing. Like outside of the home, she doesn't feel safe, so she knows the
Right.
rules. But at
Right.
home, okay, I'm finally feeling safe. I can
Right.
be myself.
Right.
Here and now. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. I'm sad. Whatever she's feeling, and I think that's very important for us as a parents to know. Okay, he behaves like this sometimes
Right.
with me because he's feeling safe.
Yeah.
I'm doing a good job. Okay.
Right.
and then he's like,
Yeah.
smacking on your face. Oh, you feel
Yeah.
so safe.
Yeah. So safe. I mean, I think
You're feeling a little too safe.
I think the thing of it is I'm even that way, right? Like if I let my guard down, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am who I am. I don't try to like be a different person. Like people at work know when I'm in a super great mood. People at work know like, ooh, she doesn't seem happy today. I try not to regulate that, as much as I can, but like I wear my heart on my sleeves. I show my emotions, my kids know, like they can tell by my expression. My husband always teases me. He's like, I actually like when you go get Botox because you can't look at me like I'm an idiot sometimes when I say something. But the thing of it is like I've had to regulate myself and tell Paige, like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to do this here at home, but you can't do that out in society. Like, you know, we're your people, we're your tribe, we're your family. You can be 100% authentic you here, but you can't.
There's certain things that you gotta keep in the house.
You gotta, you gotta keep your crazy, your crazy like a little hidden out in society, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So there's one more thing that we wanted to ask, but I think it's kind of obvious.
There's already an answer right here.
We already have an answer. So what do you like wearing? Sneakers or stilettos or high heels?
Well, Monday through Friday stilettos. You'll never usually see me in flats.
Only when you had the knee surgery.
When I had my knee surgery, I wore tennis shoes, and that was awkward. But I was like, you know, this is like the new thing. Like high schoolers are doing this. I can be hip. But on weekends, it's either my Pumas or my Chucks or my Birkenstocks. And
so it depends. Work, high heels, family, sneakers, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point of this.
I feel like when I walk into a meeting and I have high heels on, I just carry myself differently. My husband teases me all the time. He's like, "You're the most unconfident, confident person I've ever met." Like deep down inside, I'm like, but then like he's like, but outside projection, like you walk into the room and you own the room. And he was like, "Are you nervous at all?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like about ready to like vomit. I'm so nervous. And he's like, You hide it so well. And I was like, he's like, you walk in and you literally look like the most confident person in the room. And I'm like,
and that's so important in sales.
Right. And I was like, no, deep down inside, I'm like the most like, oh my God, I should have done this. I should have worked out more. I should have done that. And, you know, and he's like, it's so funny, like the insecurities you hide. And I think as women, we just need to be a little bit more transparent about that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a realtor, and sometimes I wear sneakers even when I'm working. So I think that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have like some tennis shoes at work because I have a walking treadmill.
Oh,
so
nice.
Sometimes you'll see me walking around the office in my tennis shoes with my Fitbit around my ankle, and I look a little wonky. But
then you change.
But then I change into my heels before I go into an appointment.
Yeah. Okay, but what do you like more?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. I just feel like you said, I feel high heels are like my power. And tennis shoes are kind of like my
safe space.
Well, like I'm an athlete. Like I didn't grow up wearing high heels.
Yeah.
Like I grew up wearing cleats and basketball shoes. So that's definitely going to be my comfort zone. But you know, I wear shoes like my slippers at home like all the time. Like a lot of times I'm cooking dinner in my high heels until like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, okay, time to take these off and put my comfy shoes on. But yeah, you'll find me in both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, it was really, really nice talking
Thank
to you.
you.
And,
Thanks for having me.
Like, I think that was the best choice of a first guest. We enjoyed that so much.
So where can people find you and
Yes.
about your work? So if they have any questions or they want to reach out to
Give
you.
a sales speech.
Okay, yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. That's definitely more like personal. But heritagetco.com, that'll have all my contact information and information about Heritage. Real estate people, follow us on Instagram, Heritage Company Colorado, I think is what our handle is. But yeah, you can find us on social media like everybody.
Right. Okay. That's easy to find people
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like the queen of stalking on social media now.
All right. And then to finish, I wanted to say, like, what is one takeaway that people can take from this episode and kind of like, you know, one little nugget?
You don't have to be perfect. Ask for help. I feel like that's a weakness of all of
yes.
ours. Is,
Miss Tania de la Oliva.
yeah, we want to take everything on ourselves, and as moms and wives and employees and bosses, you know, we carry the weight of the world, and so sometimes, like, it was a really hard pill for my husband for me to say my husband was staying home with our kids. That was so hard on me, more so on me than it was on him. And I finally got to the point where I was like, why am I embarrassed that he's still making money? He owns a business. But why am I embarrassed? And I was like, it's me. Yeah. And I had to ask for help, and he stepped up. And I think that was like the best thing for me as a mom and a wife and an employee and a boss was I finally found my person that I can like ask for help.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer.
Yeah. Good.
So ask for
Awesome.
help,
Ask for
Tanya.
help.
That's really hard.
Tanya.
You know that I was gonna take my firstborn with me to give a birth for a secondborn, like because I couldn't ask for help
Yeah.
until she was like, "No, I'm
Like-
coming. I'm staying
Yeah.
with him."
And she was like pushing and then texting me, "How is you?" And I'm like, "Tanya, please focus on your other kid." Like, come on.
We
Oh my
scheduled our
God.
second. We scheduled an induction because I was so worried. I don't have family that can help here.
Same.
And so we were so worried that that would be us that we scheduled it for when she was in daycare. So one of my friends here picked me up and took me to the hospital. My husband took her to school and then met me at the hospital. And then we had our second, and then we picked up our second or our first, that evening. So it was
Oh
like,
my God, yes.
it's one of those things where it's like, it's really, really hard because you don't have that support system
Yeah.
sometimes, but you do. You just sometimes I feel bad for asking.
Yeah. You need to ask.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank
That's
you
how
so
we-
much
Yeah,
for being
thanks for
here,
having
Jen.
me.
This
Yay.
is fun.
We
This
loved
was
it.
fun.
It was.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was fun.
I feel like we could have wine next time.
Yeah.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Or mimosas or something.
Yeah, we should do it like in the evening.
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Because, yeah.
Hard alcohol.
So
Right.
everybody knows it's like 8 in the morning.
Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So, well, thanks for
Right.
having me, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Yes.